Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
Welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon. That's me, Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
Former Police Chief Steve Davis, and from freedomradio.us, Brent Johnson. Brent, are you with us?
I am with us again and everything. We apparently had some kind of outside interference. Ooh, I don't know what it was, but hopefully it's gone and we'll be with you the rest of the show.
Well, we'll look forward to that because it's just you and Steve and I, Brent. We have an hour just give our own opinions. Alan's not going to be with us. And I want to start talking about, of course, what took place 11 years ago on September 11th, 2001. And that was an attack. And I know there are people, many of them good people, who fervently believe that there wasn't an attack. They're wrong. They believe that the Muslims weren't involved. They were. They believe that Bush knew about it in advance. He didn't. But here's the reality. The United States of America, with all of its weaknesses, and it has many, but it has many more strengths. The United States of America that's done more good for non-Americans than any other country has done for non-whatever they are in the history of the world can't be argued. We were attacked, not our military. Military is designed to do attacking and be attacked. They know about that. But people whose only crime was to get up and go to work like they did every day. Thousands died. Hundreds of thousands were affected directly. All of us were affected in many ways. And we need to remember that and understand you can't, and you and I are going to differ on this, Brent, and we'll see where the chief stands. You can't always wait until people do specific things because some people don't play by the rules. Even though Ron Paul made these statements, and Ron Paul was wrong, in my opinion. The United States has done more for Muslims than Muslims have ever done for Muslims. And yet there's some things they didn't like and some things we didn't do. You know, a lot of Muslims are living the high life and having incredible standards of living because we developed technology and then they were given it or they stole it or whatever happened. Here's the bottom line. In my opinion, if the Muslim extremists all died tomorrow, Muslims would be better off and so would the rest of the world. And I hold them personally responsible, and as far as I'm concerned, they all need to be found and terminated. Now that's my opinion. Chief.
No, you're absolutely right. And I would like to take a moment here just to really give my thanks and condolences to the families of all of the victims of 9/11. And I've had great respect in my career for law enforcement and military that have gone the extra mile and either gotten injured or killed in the line of duty. But you mentioned something about why these people were attacked. It was because they were Americans. This was an attack. It was an attack by Muslims against America, and they killed Americans in the process. And so, the Muslims want to destroy our way of life. They want to destroy this country, and they want to make everything in their Islamic world. And they cannot be tolerated with. They cannot be reasoned with. The only thing we can do is to stop them, and we must. But the families of those victims, we talk about this today, but their family loved ones are gone. They are gone, and they'll never come back. And that is a terrible price that they had to pay for us to realize how dangerous the Muslim community is to America.
Well, the radical Muslims, certainly. There are many Muslims that don't bother anyone, and I know some, and God bless them. Brent.
And Stan and Steve, with all due respect, I take a completely different perspective on this. Stan, I know you're the host, so you get the final word. I'm just the little co-host here. But I am an investigative journalist in my own right. I do not make any presumptions, regardless of how drastic the circumstances are. Rather, I look at the evidence that we know, the evidence that we can presume, the lack of evidence in certain areas, and I formulate a story as to what actually occurred. And the greatest conspiracy theory about the events of September 11th, 2001, in my professional opinion, is the official story, that we were attacked by Muslim terrorists because they hate our freedom, and that the U.S. government had no complicity in these activities. It is my considered opinion, based upon actual evidence and based upon speculation based on the lack of certain evidence as well, that this was not a terrorist attack by any means. It was a planned event in which the Bush-Cheney cabal were clearly involved, clearly had some kind of a say, and there may have indeed been Muslims involved in the conspiracy, but it was not, in my opinion, a Muslim conspiracy. Yes, it is a tragedy, the people who lost their lives. My condolences also go out to them. But the biggest culprit in the events of September 11th, and I never published any article that says the terrorist attacks. That's propaganda. That's a presumption. I say the events of September 11th because that's all that we know. Certain things happened on September 11th, including the demolition of Building 7, including the fact that it could not have been a passenger airline that hit the Pentagon, no matter what they say. It's impossible, including the fact that all of the debris from the World Trade Center demolition that could have told us exactly what happened was whisked away in violation of federal law and sold to China as salvage before we could look into it, including the fact that Mohammed Attar's passport was sitting right on top of all the rubble, pristine, untouched, just like someone had put it there, and including so many other facts that we don't have time to go into all of them. I am 100% convinced that this was a U.S.-led attack on its own country in order to justify all of the fascist, draconian regulations that have been imposed. The American Gestapo, Department of Homeland Security, that didn't exist before then. And by the way, you may not remember it, but on September 10th, 2011, the day before this all happened, the FBI was under investigation for incompetence. Within hours of the event, we had passed the U.S. Patriot Act, and the FBI was suddenly the big heroes. No. This is all very, very fishy to me, and I don't think the truth will ever come out to the masses or through mass media. But I'm absolutely 100% certain this was not a terrorist attack by Muslim radicals.
Well, we're going to just disagree, and I'm not going to debate the issue because you have certainly as much right to your opinion as I have to mine. I say this. If the Muslim faith is what it says it is, if you simply read what it's about and read the statements of those who promote it, that every Muslim country in the world without exception, from the day that rotten camel-driving piece of crap was born until this day, when the Muslim faith is installed, it's a political system, not a faith at all, people suffer, and they believe in one man, one vote, one time, and then you belong to them. That cannot be debated. I frankly don't think the 9/11 thing can be debated either, but we'll go on. In California, they just passed, by the way, in case you didn't hear me say it, the Prophet Muhammad was a piece of garbage. He was, he is, he always will be a pedophile and worthless and a moron. And I think that's the best things you can say about him. So if you're a Muslim, you have a right to your faith, but he is what he is.
Just put out a contract on you, Stan. Some Muslim just put out a contract on you, Stan.
Yeah, well, the Muslims can't spell contract. All Muslims are morons. They have to be to believe in that faith. Now, let's talk about bigger morons, and that would be liberals. That would be the legislators in the state of California that, to get around rules on abortion clinics, have now said, let's see if I can give you the actual law, in the state of California, it is Senate Bill 623. You do not have to be a doctor in order to perform abortions. They're equating abortions with ear piercing. They're equating abortions with tattoo artists. Now, someone tell me that an abortion, besides killing a baby, which liberals are morons, they wouldn't have any idea. You know what you do if you have a liberal who's a friend? You give him a gift certificate for a lobotomy. Okay? But Here's the fact. The whole story about abortions killing women was a lie. It's been proven. Yes, some women have died in childbirth, but the reality is they made up numbers. They've admitted that. But we know today, with the millions and millions and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions and billions of babies that have been murdered through abortions, primarily coerced through this country and evil folks on the left, that women have been harmed psychologically, physiologically, and chemologically, if that's a word, because if you have an abortion before you've had a child, you increase your chance of breast cancer by 4 to 5 times. That's simply fact. Hundreds of studies have shown that, although they cover it up. So I'll start with you, Chief Steve, because I'm mad at Brent for at least 30 seconds.
Well, the first thing, this is a very serious topic and very near to my heart as a practicing Catholic, but the left constantly talks about the war on women and says that the Republicans have a war on women. Well, I want to know who's speaking for the little unborn women. Half of these abortions are women. What about them? Don't they have any say in this at all? How come the left is so anxious to abort little women? I don't understand that. But you know, this is just a license to murder. Now they've expanded that license from abortion doctors to the average Jane or Joe that works at some place or comes off the street that's going to be allowed to perform abortion. So what that means is an unborn baby, it's okay to rip their skull apart, rip their brains out. It's okay to tear them apart inside the womb, even though it's a human being. But you no longer need to be a doctor so they can skirt around this abortion law.
The Butchers Union is looking for job growth. Here it is.
And if it's a union, they're all for it.
All right, now, Brent, I'm done being mad at you. What's your thought?
Thank you. You know, the issue has always been the issue of where life begins. And I think we all agree that life begins at conception. And anybody who has ever seen an ultrasound, would not doubt that for a moment. Herbert Spencer, one of our great statesmen, once made a comment. He said, I asked members of Parliament whether a majority of the House could legitimize murder. And I was told no. But I could not make him see that if murder is intrinsically wrong, not to be made right by decisions of statesmen, then similarly, all laws are either right or wrong outside of the legislation. And if the wrong of the law, if the law itself is not in harmony with the intrinsic act of wrongness, then it is the law that is at fault. In other words, what he was saying is that you can't make murder legal just by passing a law. And what they're doing in California is they're basically saying, yes, that abortion is a minor non-medical procedure. It's actually a form of surgery, by the way. But no, it's like, a minor medical procedure that a trained nurse can do, or a midwife, and if there happen to be medical complications, oh well, you don't need to have a doctor around. And what they're doing when they say that is they're saying that the unborn child is not a living thing. Saying it doesn't make it so. Last weekend, I interviewed on my show a candidate for sheriff, Frank Szabo, in Hillsborough County, New Hampshire. He made news recently because he said that abortionists should be stopped by any force necessary, if necessary, deadly force. He got a lot of flack for saying it. But the bottom line is, if you're attacking me and you're trying to kill me, I have a right to defend myself, even if it means killing you. If you're attacking my family member, or my friends, or somebody in my proximity, I have a right to defend that person as well, with, if necessary, deadly force. Why does that right not extend to the life of the unborn child, the most innocent among us? I agree with you. I think California is being absolutely absurd in its unlawful acts of legislation.
Couldn't agree with you more. That's one in a row. All right. A guy by the name of Curtis Clinton, that his name is Clinton, is not ignored. 41-year-old Curtis Clinton was in jail for some violent crime. He got out of jail. he ran into a young gal, 23 years old, and they started a relationship. After 5 months, something happened. He was mad at her. So what did he do? He murdered her. He murdered her 3-year-old child and her 18-month-old child, and then amscrayed. Well, they caught him. Now, Chief said, Stan, why'd you send me this story? This kind of stuff happens. It does, but it pisses me off. I believe we could retire the national debt by taking Curtis Clinton, putting him in a whatever, in a cage, like a MMA cage, and let people pay $1,000 for the right and go in and beat the crap out of him. Hell, I'd pay $1,000. I paid $5. As long as I get to use a baseball bat, maybe with a nail in it. Killed a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. I don't know this lady. I feel bad, but I don't know her. She may have been mean. She may have been unfaithful. I don't know. Nothing gave him an excuse. But my point is, what did those kids do that he killed them? Maybe, I know, maybe he's a liberal, and he thought he didn't want them to grow up without a mom, so he killed them, even though he had killed the mom. That's the kind of rationale you get from liberals. And by the way, Muhammad, a moron. Chief?
Well, I don't want to make light of the story at all because it is very serious. I was just confused because this is not a one-time event. That's why I questioned your sending.
Well, let's do the same with every one of them.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree because if he's in a cage, he can do it again. If this person deserves a fair trial, that's what the Constitution says. But once that trial convicts him, he should be eliminated from the face of the earth so he can never do this again.
All right, so we feed the crocodiles. Brent.
Well, you know, I certainly feel this is an atrocity. It just stokes my fire of I hate the injustice of it all. You can't get back the woman's life. You can't get back the children's lives. And the people who care about them are forever, ever harmed. Even killing this guy won't change that, though I'm all in favor of an eye for an eye here. But what I would like to see is I would like to see a judicial system that functions properly, that doesn't set people like this out to do what they do, and I'd like to see a system that encourages people to have arms to defend themselves from crazy people like this. You know, we become such a docile society. Remember the Aurora, Colorado shooting where everybody just cringed, and people could have done something if they were trained, if they had the mindset to do
or if
something.
They had guns,
and
just like you
such
said.
A docile.
That guy wouldn't have gone in that theater if everyone in that theater had a gun.
Society. Well, and what happens is the docility, the tameness of people, and this is not to diminish the story itself, but it is that social tameness that creates fertile ground for this kind of insanity to happen. And so my concern is that this is not like Steve says, not a unusual case, but this is more and more of this kind of stuff is happening and is going to happen because we're creating fertile ground for it. And I'd like to see us make that barren ground for this kind of stuff. Make it so that this kind of stuff doesn't ever happen, because if it ever happens once, the people deal with it very quickly.
Now, my liberal friends, both of them, would be upset. Oh, the humanity. Those babies. And I agree. We're in total sync. What's the difference between the 18-month-old and the 7-month-old in the womb? Huh? How come you liberals can feel bad that these two babies were murdered, but you don't have any problem when the younger babies are murdered? Hypocrites? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're hypocrites.
But it was part of the mother's responsibility, too, to ensure the safety of these children. And so any woman, I don't care who you are, children or not, you got no business dating a person that just got out of prison for some violent crime. Find somebody else.
All right, go ahead. I agree. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, I was just going to say they don't consider themselves hypocrites because they don't recognize that unborn child is alive. That's the crux of it.
Yeah, well, they're idiots. They're just stupid morons, all right? And they need I don't know, a telephone pole suppository to get to their inner whatever. Okay. Sorry, telephone poles. Chicago is dealing with morons, teachers' unions, highest paid teachers in the entire country, worst performing teachers in the entire country, $76,000 average income, plus retirement, all kinds of other benefits, $100,000 cost per teacher, and they're saying, screw the kids. They never gave a damn about the kids anyway. They don't want to be tested. They don't want to be held to any standards. And by the way, they want a pay raise. And they're going against Rahm Emanuel and Barack Obama. How about this? When Romney, Ryan, Obama, and Rahm Emanuel are on one side, and the teachers' unions on the other side. Is that sweet?
That's bizarre, but I like it.
Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, there's talk about giving teachers tests, standardization tests. I'm just totally opposed to that altogether. I don't care if a teacher can pass a test or not. The test for a teacher is, are your students educated and smart when you're done with them? And so for any teacher in this country, first of all, public education should be abolished. The government's got no place in education.
There you go. Hello, hello, hello.
But for a teacher, my standards are, you set a good example and your kids come out educated and smarter than they were before and meeting the standard of education that's required, I'm in.
What about, can they have sex with their kids?
No, that's not setting a good, example. Remember, my first criteria was setting a good example.
I'm confused. I thought that was good because we've had 4,000 cases of teachers having sexual relationships with their students, and I'm talking about students that are below the age of consent, and somehow no one's saying the teaching profession, which there are many wonderful people, but the majority are in the bottom half of their classes, going to schools that are in the bottom half of schools, and they can't read or write or speak well at all. And I think they do need to be tested to at least see if they can spell their own names.
See, but these are public schools. That's what you're talking about here.
I don't want public
that constantly talk about we need more money for the kids, but the money never goes to the kids. It goes to the teachers.
Exactly. Brent?
Public school is an oxymoron.
And unconstitutional. It's nowhere in the Constitution.
I have a very simple. I have well, you know, the idea that it's public and that it's a school, they don't fit together. But I'll tell you something. My attitude is real simple. Fire their asses. Just fire them all. Fine. You don't want to work? You're fired.
Love it.
Well, that's a great point. But you know what gets me? You see the teachers on television negotiating with the mayor. So it's the union with the government. But that's not who's paying them. We're paying them. They should be negotiating with us. We should be at the negotiating table, not the mayor.
Well, of course, they have a school board. But in Chicago, everything's run by one party.
School board should be abolished as well. Here in Indiana, every school board that's ever been in existence has always raised taxes the most they possibly could while they were in office, without exception. So in Indiana, because of the schools, the public schools, you can never own your own home. You pay tax on your property for the rest of your life. You can never own your own property because you're paying for public schools that are failing our kids.
Couldn't agree more. By the way, you'll all be happy to know, ready? 400,000 kids are going to school. No teachers, no learning, but breakfast and lunch. At a cost of what? $3.2 million a day. Hell, that's $16 million a week. Hell, that's a lot of money. That's a couple $100 million per school year.
Hey, you have a contract. You're not fulfilling your contract. You're in breach of contract. You're out of here. Fired. No more money. No more benefits. You blew it. You want to sue me? Go ahead and sue me. You're not getting any money.
I agree. The only problem is we don't have Reagan. We have Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel used to be the chief of staff for Barack Obama. Before that, he was a suppository in a impacted rhinoceros reservation. He's not going to hold up for us. He doesn't care about us. He just cares about ripping the public off and lining his pockets, the pockets of his henchmen.
Well, about 40% are graduating. None of them can read. It wouldn't matter if they close the schools or not. They're not going to be any smarter anyway, whether the schools are open or closed.
Amazing.
It's a waste of money.
By the way, Planned Parenthood, or as I call them, Planned Non-Parenthood, is spending $3.2 million buying ads for Obama. Now, wait a minute. They're a nonprofit. We, the taxpayers, give them $500 million a year. Why? If they're taking our money, why are they buying ads for a political party? That's not allowed. But they're doing it anyway. Oh, they say they're only talking about a woman's right to kill her children.
And that's a great point, because I believe Planned Parenthood is a 501c3. And if they are prohibited from using their nonprofit status to endorse any political candidate or do anything political. They're not allowed to. Why isn't the IRS taking away their nonprofit status?
And they're not allowed to lobby either, but that's where they spend, half of their money. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Open Line here on Talk to Solomon. This, by the way, will give you credit in your sensitivity course. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people.
So what is a nougat anyway?
For Stan, for what is a who? People,
a nougat.
Tens of thousands of people.
A nougat?
It's simply common sense.
Oh, that what they have in that?
You go to cpnlive.com.
Nougat is a
click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. They say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 supercolloidal silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get supercolloidal silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.